Walmart has announced that they're gonna be raising the minimum wage for certain employees, but not others. And wait until you hear some of these specifics. So they're gonna be raising the minimum wage at Sam's Club to $15 an hour. But if you work at Walmart, you're gonna have to be happy at 12 for some reason. And bear in mind that this is the largest employer in the US with nearly 1.6 million workers. So that affects so many people, so many people. It's a pretty good bump for Sam's Club from $11 to $15 an hour, but it's just one extra buck for people at Walmart. And by the way, think about how this works in practice. So we have some specifics. Mendy Hughes is a 46-year-old who's worked as a cashier in Malvern, Arkansas for 11 years. She makes $12.85. Over a decade at the company, she makes 85 cents more than a brand new hire and says you can't pay your bills, rent, and buy groceries on 12 an hour. I don't think anywhere in the US you can do that. No way. I don't understand how they think $12 an hour is enough to live on, because it's not at all. And of course, Walmart does not think that it's enough to live on, but they do think it's enough to get people in communities where other jobs have been destroyed by Walmart coming in to apply for a job at Walmart. So Trae, it's a raise, but it's not much of one.
Yeah, it's another thing that I don't understand why more people aren't upset by it. They get all up in arms about welfare and welfare queens and stuff, but corporate welfare like this, where essentially Walmart's being subsidized by taxpayers because their employees can't afford to actually live on just the salary they make there alone. Everybody's just fine with that. Another thing that I think works against it is you start saying people that work at Walmart should be paid more money, and for some reason, a lot of people hear that and feel like you're comparing people that work at Walmart to them and what they do. So they're like, well, I'm a paramedic and I don't make $15 an hour. You're saying a cashier at Walmart deserves more than me? And of course, the answer is no, we're saying you're both getting screwed. You're both getting a raw
Yes.
deal. It should be better for both of you. You don't have to frame it that way, but so many people do. And I just think in a country that purports to be the greatest in the world, if you work a full-time job, you should be able to pay all your living expenses, and that shouldn't be a controversial opinion. And in my conversations with conservatives, it's not controversial. They will agree with that. But then when you say, well, what do you think about the fact that that is not true? Typically, anecdotally, they will bring up well, I'd like to see what these people are spending their money on. Always goes to laziness and irresponsibility. They assume that they're foregoing fixing their brakes or something so they can get drunk instead, things like that, which of course that's not how anyone is for the most part. But it's all these false narratives that persist that work against movements like this one, and it drives me crazy.
100%. I totally agree. And there's no expectation that on a place, because this is 1.6 million jobs spread across America. There's no expectation that on Fox News, which is filled with right-wing populists, that your wage should ever go up. They spread things like that. Like you said, what do they spend their money on? Are they buying alcohol? Or Bill O'Reilly for years would say, how poor can you be if you have a microwave? And yet they talk about elitists who don't understand these areas. But first of all, they all live in New York City. And yet the coastal elitists who are presumably libs don't understand these people. These people who can't be poor because they have a TV. They can't be poor because they can freeze their food temporarily. It's insane and it's insulting, and this is not nearly enough. If you work at Walmart, if you work at anywhere, there is a political movement that wants your conditions to improve. You just need to actually look for it. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.